Hello and welcome, and here is the news on NTA International. I am Nolin Ebel-Ame, and my sign language interpreter is John Bamidele. First, the headlines. President Bola Tinubu changes service chiefs in federal government's efforts to strengthen Nigeria's security architecture. Federal High Court adjourns till Monday for Nnamdi Kanu to start calling witnesses in his alleged terrorism trial. United Nations celebrates 80th anniversary with a renewed call for partnership and resilience in addressing humanitarian challenges, particularly in Nigeria's northeast region. And now to the news. President Bola Tinubu has made changes in the hierarchy of the service chiefs in furtherance of the efforts of the federal government of Nigeria to strengthen the national security architecture. The president appointed General Olufemi Oluede to replace General Christopher Musa as the new Chief of Defense Staff. The new Chief of Army Staff is Major General Waidi Shoaibu. Air Vice Marshal Sunday Aneke is Chief of Air Staff, while Rear Admiral Idi Abbas is the new Chief of Naval Staff. Chief of Defense Intelligence Major General Emmanuel Odendei retains his position. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Public Communication, Sunday Dare, explained that the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, expresses most profound appreciation to the outgoing Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and the other service chiefs for their patriotic service and dedicated leadership. The President charges the newly appointed service chiefs to justify the confidence reposed in them to further enhance the professionalism, vigilance, and comradeship that defined the armed forces of Nigeria. All appointments takes immediate effect. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has welcomed Nigeria's delisting from the Financial Action Task Force grey list. The FATF announced the delisting at its plenary in Paris, France today. The FATF is the world's foremost standard-setting body for combating money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing. The announcement formally removed Nigeria from the list of jurisdictions under increased monitoring, commonly referred to as the grey list. President Tinubu described the development as a major milestone in Nigeria's journey towards economic reform, institutional integrity, and global credibility. This decision follows Nigeria's successful and timely completion of its FATF action plan, marking over 2 years of sustained effort, reform, and interagency coordination aimed at strengthening the country's anti-money laundering and the counter-financing of terrorism framework. In other news, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has sent a congratulatory letter to the first female Prime Minister of Japan, Sanae Takaichi, describing her emergence after winning the votes in the parliament as an affirmation of her contributions to the influence of her political party in governance and in Japan. The president says he looks forward to working with Prime Minister Takaichi. In the letter personally signed by him, President Tinubu states, "Your Excellency, on behalf of the people and government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I extend to you my warmest congratulations on your election as the first female Prime Minister of Japan. Your victory as the leader of the Liberal Democratic Party and ultimately as the Prime Minister of Japan constitutes a remarkable expression of the confidence reposed in you by the good people of Japan. Your election as the first female Prime Minister of Japan is also a testament to the decades of your tremendous contributions to the growth of your people and your political party and governance in Japan. As you assume this mandate, the President said, you can please be rest assured of Nigeria's continued goodwill and support for Japan. Nigeria and Japan have maintained a deep, productive and strategic relationship over the years, covering several areas of bilateral cooperation. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, has witnessed the unveiling, handover and signing of the Memorandum of Understanding MOU transferring the University of Medical Sciences Teaching Hospital to become the new Federal University Teaching Hospital, Akure, Ondo State. The ceremony held in Akure, the Ondo State capital, marks a significant milestone in the federal government's efforts to strengthen healthcare delivery and expand tertiary services across Nigeria. Professor Pate, who represented President Bola Tinubu, expressed deep appreciation to the Ondo State government for its seamless collaboration in facilitating the transition, commending Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa and his team for their commitment and support, describing the partnership as a model of effective federal-state cooperation in advancing national health objectives. Before being conferred with the chieftaincy title of Okore Deola of Akure Kingdom by the Deji of Akure, the coordinating minister reiterated President Tinubu's commitment to transforming Nigeria's health and social landscape, emphasizing that the administration is determined to expand the reach and quality of healthcare services nationwide. Professor Pate noted that the establishment of the new Federal University Teaching Hospital, Akure, is part of broader federal government's effort to strengthen medical education, research and specialist care across the country. On his part, the Deji of Akure, His Royal Majesty Oba Alade Toyinbo Alade Lucy, stated this, that President Bola Tinubu promised that the conversion would be done and has now fulfilled that promise, expressing his gratitude for the efforts of the President and the coordinating minister in transforming life in Akure.
It's not a day for long speeches. We'll sign the MOU and we'll unveil the plan. But I want to assure all the people of Ondo State and indeed all Nigerians that His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is committed to changing the health and social landscape of this country. And he's doing that with a focus, with boldness, with determination. And in health, we're expanding the footprints of Nigerian health sector in collaboration with state governments. This is just one more marker. The Federal University Teaching Hospital here in Akure, but there are several other elements of that collaboration.
Akure is supposed to be about 4 local governments. There were only one. No teaching hospital. Nothing. But Baba Tinubu said it's going to happen on his own time, and he made it happen. And it's happening.
On court proceedings, the Federal High Court has granted an adjournment till Monday for Nnamdi Kanu to start calling witnesses in his alleged terrorism trial. Judiciary correspondent Austin Aibe reports that the adjournment was at the instant of the defendant, Nnamdi Kanu, who appears for himself.
The trial was slated for Friday for the defendant to open his defense. But at the commencement of proceeding, the defendant told the court that he was unable to receive the case file from his legal team, whom he disengaged, therefore asking for adjournment till Monday, 27th of October 2025. He also urged the court to make an order for the DSS to allow his foreign witnesses coming to Nigeria to access the facility to enable him to meet with them. The prosecution counsel Adegboyega Awomolo, senior advocate of Nigeria, says while he is not opposing the adjournment sought by the defendant, he should be reminded that the 6 days earmarked for him to open and conclude his defense started from the 23rd of October 2025. Justice James Omotosho, while granting the adjournment, said that he is surprised that Kanu Agabi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, will keep the case file with him, having been excused from the case. He granted the adjournment and ordered the DSS to allow the defendant access to his witnesses, whom he said are coming from different countries to testify. Justice Omotosho said he granted the adjournment in the spirit of fair hearing as enshrined in Section 36 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. From the Federal High Court, Austin Anyebe, NT News.
In the meantime, to understand justice in criminal law without addressing the social conditions that drive most criminal prosecutions is to treat symptoms while ignoring the disease. Our legal expert Femi Falono SAN highlighted this while speaking on the topic, a decade of ACJA, charting the course for criminal justice reform in Nigeria. Judiciary correspondent again, Austin Aibe reports.
The legal expert took a historical look at the criminal justice in Nigeria, saying prior to the enactment of Abuja 2015, criminal trials in Nigerian courts were governed by two colonial relics, the Criminal Procedure Act in the southern states and the Criminal Procedure Code applicable in the northern states. He said the laws were never designed for a modern constitutional democracy, therefore not instruments of justice. He said by the early 2000s, the weaknesses of the two laws had become a national embarrassment as the laws enable endless adjournment, frivolous interlocutory appeals, and abuse of prosecutorial power. This resulted in a criminal justice system notorious for unjust pretrial detention, with over 70% of inmates in Nigerian correctional centers awaiting trial for years without conviction. The senior advocate whose paper was presented by Chinonye Obiagu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, says the emergence of Abuja in 2015 was a legislative response to the systemic injustice.
A criminal justice system that jails the poor for survival offenses, while ignoring structural inequality, cannot deliver justice.
There is need to adopt the National Minimum Standard 2025, which was recently signed off by the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation.
The issue of long detentions, non-custodial sentencing, that is where the education needs to be concentrated.
Abuja 2015 key objectives include efficient criminal justice administration, speedy trial and reduction of delay, protection of the rights of suspects and victims, transparency and accountability in justice, and connection to constitutional governance. Thus, the key innovation introduced includes plea bargaining, limitation of adjournments, fundamental rights protections, and integration of ICT. These have brought remarkable improvements in the administration of the criminal justice system.
Most people cannot access justice in our criminal justice system. Not because the laws are not there, not because the Abuja does not make provision for them, not because the Constitution does not provide for them, but the cost of accessing justice is too high. Therefore,
even with the quantitative and qualitative achievements recorded in the last 10 years, experts have identified gaps in implementation and making proposals to the National Assembly for amendment. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NT News.
Elsewhere, in a landmark decision, a South African court has ordered former President Jacob Zuma to reimburse over 1 million euros in public funds used to cover his personal legal expenses. And the M23 rebel group has been accused of gold theft. Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
Jacob Zuma, whose presidency was marred by numerous corruption allegations before being forced out of office in 2018, has been given 60 days to make the repayment. The legal proceedings have stretched over several years, with Zuma's defense previously arguing in 2021 that he was not personally liable for the costs. However, the Pretoria High Court ruled that Zuma was responsible for illegally diverting state funds to cover legal matters related to his own corruption cases. If Zuma fails to repay the sum within 2 months' deadline, authorities may freeze his presidential pension. In response to the ruling, Zuma stated only that he plans to meet with his legal team to discuss his next step. In other news, the M23 rebel group in the Democratic Republic of the Congo pushed back an accusation that the group stole millions of dollars in gold from a mine located in an area controlled by its fighters. Twangiza, a mining company in South Kivu, said the group looted more than 500 kilos of gold from its concession in the province. The company accused the group of employing Rwandan geologists to locate the mineral. It put the value of the stolen gold at over $70 million. Coordinator of the M23 group, Vonel Nanga, denied the accusation, saying the mine in question was operated by artisanal workers and not an industrial operator. He accused government forces of striking the mine, blaming Kinshasa for ceasefire violations. The United Nations and credible human rights groups have long accused the M23 group of plundering Congo's minerals and using their revenues to fund rebellion. Kola Muhammad, NT News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. More when we return. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us on the news on NTA International. Residential buildings near Moscow were hit in a drone attack, marking one of the recent escalations in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The attack coincides with the United States' imposition of fresh sanctions on Russia. Kolo Mohammed has details.
A residential building in a suburb of Moscow has been damaged in an overnight drone attack that local authorities blame on Ukraine. Moscow Regional Governor Andrei Vorobyev said 5 people, including a child, were injured. Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin calls latest U.S. sanctions on Russia's 2 biggest oil producers an unfriendly act which is damaging Russian-American relations. He spoke to the press after attending a meeting of the Russian Geographical Society in Moscow.
Putin has made clear that he is in the driving seat. His troops are advancing on the battlefield, and so he, at the moment, doesn't see a need to make concessions. And so these U.S. sanctions, and by the way, the EU ones that came out today, are an important signal that the West is willing to step up pressure on Russia and will try to make the Russian economy weaker. The dream scenario would be that you get the price of Russian oil, which is called euros, you get that price to fall. And so it is possible that in coming weeks, because of these Rosneft and Lukoil sanctions, we are going to see people step away from buying Russian oil, and that could cause the euros oil price to fall, in which case that would really put pressure on the Russian budget.
Putin adds that it will be impossible to replace all of Russian oil on the global market. Kola Muhammad, NT News.
Stakeholders in the water sector have described the Cairo Water Week as a catalyst for actionable strategies fostering dialogue on urgent water and climate challenges across the Middle East, Africa and beyond. Organized by the Egyptian Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation's forum, has become a pivotal moment in global water discussions, uniting governments, organizations and innovators around a shared goal: safeguarding water as the lifeblood of sustainable development. Discussions centered on forging resilient communities in the face of climate change and aligning actions with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), with a particular emphasis on SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. A delegation from Nigeria, led by the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, represented by the Director, Water Supply, Mukaila Babarinde, participated in the week-long event in Egypt. The theme of this year's conference is Innovative Solutions for Climate Resilience and Water Sustainability. Now, recognizing media and information literacy provides a set of essential skills to address the challenges of the 21st century with the proliferation of mis- and disinformation and hate speech, thrust deficit within the media ecosystem, compounded by the fast-growing acceptance of artificial intelligence. And the world commemorates this year's Global Media and Information Literacy Week. Framapanyi takes a look at the level of awareness created and progress achieved towards media and information literacy for all.
Information is power. Communication is empowerment. That is a popular quote in the media industry, and that is what the Global Media and Information Literacy Week seeks to underscore. Now, for us in the NTA, one of our primary goals is to arm the public with the requisite knowledge and information. With the emergence of AI, you will agree there is no gainsaying that the media landscape has witnessed a revolution without its setbacks. However, the past has built a solid foundation, and the present serves as a bridge connecting the future.
AI can manipulate the facts gathered. The data available to AI can be manipulated. Now, this manipulation, of data by AI, poses a challenge, to the traditional media, and it is here that the challenge, comes in for practicing journalists. You have to be up to date with facts. You have to do a lot of research. You have to come to the table with receipts.
The divided line between AI and authenticity is very, very lean. Even if I piece a story, I have to wonder, is this AI or is this real? Because it's very, very difficult to determine. So I feel that in as much as the role globally with the world AI, there ought to also like a course unit or a technology that will determine that this is AI.
As AI can do so much, AI, there are limitations. And you can see that in administrative cultures and academic circles, the role of mentors as physical teachers will still resonate. And therefore, whereas we made a case for the utilitarian value, the applicability of, or the ineluctability of AI, we need to be very careful. It is not AI versus humanity. It is AI by humanity, for humanity, and with humanity.
So sometimes there are those who have argued that having the advantage of technology has led to a lot of people not engaging in the development of their intellect. I do not entirely agree. I believe that what's happening now has helped to increase our knowledge, expand our scope. But as I said earlier, each age comes with its own challenges. And with the advantage of the new technologies we have now, we must begin to look out for the difficult patches, those areas where rather than enhance our knowledge, these same tools can be a source of destruction.
In the media is it helps with, it just makes our work easier. Editing, image generation. Also, you would be able to use the same AI to spot fake news, misinformation. Another pro for it is it helps with writing scripts.
This year, the focus is on minds over artificial intelligence, with calls to leverage AI in shaping already conceived ideas. Framapanyi, NTA News.
The United Nations Day is celebrated annually on October 24 to commemorate the anniversary of the UN Charter's coming into force in 1945. It also marks the official establishment of the UN as an organization dedicated to international peace, security and cooperation. The UN Charter came into effect on October 24, 1945, after it was ratified by a majority of its signatories, including the 5 permanent members of the Security Council. The day serves to highlight the achievements of the UN and to reaffirm its principles and objectives to the world.
Or retreat. Now more than ever, the world must recommit to solving problems no nation can solve alone. On this UN Day, let's stand together and fulfill the extraordinary promise of your United Nations.
The day is celebrated with a variety of events globally, often with a specific theme chosen each year to focus on a particular global issue. The theme for this year is promoting peace, unity, and global partnerships. In the meantime, United Nations' 80th anniversary has been commemorated in Maiduguri with a renewed call for partnership and resilience in addressing humanitarian challenges, particularly in areas in Nigeria's northeast region. Pauline Kujimvana reports.
The event, which featured a panel discussion on the theme Building Our Future Together, from Crisis to Resilience in Northeast Nigeria, brought together stakeholders from government, academia, civil society, and the international community to chart a path towards sustainable peace and inclusive growth. Speaking virtually, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, alongside other international non-governmental organizations, reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening interventions and empowering local NGOs to respond more effectively to the humanitarian crises that have long affected Nigeria, especially the Northeast region.
To address the challenges that this region is enduring, trying to address and support the root causes and promote solutions.
To work on this reform of the UN to make it a success and improve the way UN approaches, UN finance, UN support, and UN assist all over the world.
Representing Borno State Governor, Secretary to the State Government, Bukar Tijani, acknowledged the UN's transformative impact in peace building and human capacity development.
Pauline Kujimvana's story there. Thank you so much for watching the news on NT International, and this is where we conclude the news. I am Nolin Ebel Ame, and my sign language interpreter has been John Bamidele. Bye for now.